Welcome to Ryan and Brian Talk Sports, presented by Boom Fantasy and Pickett Sports. As always, Ryan Props here, and he's got the Gold Boys swag, which
Yeah, man.
I don't think I've got it in the mail yet. I actually decided to pull a Ryan Props, and I'm gonna wear my Embiid jersey, and I'm gonna wear my Sixers hat, and then
Respect.
I'm gonna try to convince people to bet on Joel Embiid without looking like a biased asshole. So that's kind of the route I took today, is going with that.
I'm not mad at you at all. I've done it pretty much every show until I checked my mailbox today and found some Gold Boy stuff. So I don't hate that angle at all. Let's do it, man. This is I don't know. How do you feel about this slate? I'm not thrilled, but it's not the worst. I mean, we've had some rough ones on Mondays before.
Yeah,
So
but
I don't hate it, but it's
I will say my spots I have circled here are very dependent on the injury news we'll see, especially with Michael
for
Porter
sure.
Jr. being sick again. I don't know how he gets the flu every 3 days, but it's kind of been like a theme for him.
His
But
parents
yeah,
sent him to daycare a couple times a
yeah,
week.
I don't know
So
what it is, but it's
pick off.
it's something. I honestly, this slate makes me mad because when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. It looks like it's great for unders. And then the more I was looking into things, I like, ugh, it's just gross. I don't know. There's a lot of injury news, and
There
I
it is.
was looking at like some lines. I was like, oh, I want to fade X player. Check the book, and like books have gotten smarter. I mean, they're like, I'll get into it, but I mean, even like I was looking to maybe fade Trey Young against the Heat, and I feel like 2 years ago, despite his troubles against the team, you would still see a star like that open at like 24, 25, 26 and a half. And then when I saw 23 and a half, it's like sometimes you can like a prop, but you don't have to like the line you get, and you just have to kind
Definitely.
of not even go with it.
Yeah, 23 and a half is a very, very difficult one. Despite, I mean, the Heat defense, I mean, they get the job done, especially on him. I mean, my goodness,
Yeah,
I think he's shooting 28.6% against them this year, averaging 18.
he almost scored 10 against them last game though, so that
Yeah,
was
he did
that
almost
was
have 10. So
yeah.
I mean that Heat defense is very impressive. I mean, in theory, I guess I still do kind of lean under, but I don't think I could ever touch a 23 and a half for Trey.
Yeah, I
I
think I
stay there.
said, yeah, it's just uh sometimes you gotta just like a spot and realize it's not gonna be someone you can play. So well, we
Yeah.
can kick this off. I mean, I don't know if you want to go first. I actually see that you're having a drink. I'm trying this. I wanted you to see it before I poured it. It is it
Nice.
it, it is a Canadian whiskey, but it's pineapple.
Okay.
And it was a gift. It was a gift for Christmas, and I just saw it as I was cleaning up my room, and it smells fruity. I don't know.
Well, we don't have the segment where Brian samples whiskey, but Tony, if you can go ahead and add that in, because let's go. Let's get a review real quick.
No. You can do your prop first. I didn't want to make a big deal of it. I just wanted to let people know, whatever it's a fine Canadian pineapple whiskey.
I kind of want to make a big deal out of it. I want to see how good it is.
Yeah, dude, I need a
It's
review.
Yeah,
it's really sweet.
that face,
Um,
that face
Ooh,
told a story right there.
I will
ooh.
say this: it's really sweet. If you like I like flavored bourbons and whiskeys, but I think whiskey shouldn't be sweet, and that's my issue sometimes with it.
Yeah.
Like the salted caramel crown they came out with, like they always do that every year. It's really good, but it's sweet and that throws you off. Like if you don't like whiskey, you probably like this because it does kind of taste really sweet, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really I'm not in it for this like the sweet. Like if I'm having like something over the rocks, and it's like I don't know, man. It's too sweet for me. So give like a 6 out of 10, but
Okay.
there's no way I could do like 2 glasses of it,
Okay.
because you know what I mean? Because like, I don't know about you, but, like I just can't do sweet drinks. Like I have a friend that he drinks Mike's Hard, like as like an actual person, and I thought it was like a phase he had when he was like a sixth grader. But he's like a 23-year-old man now, and he still like will bring Mike's Hard
Still rocking them, huh?
to like the Eagles games, and I'm like, dude, have
Excellent.
some respect for yourself. But let's talk about sports.
Whoa,
well,
whoa,
well,
whoa,
I
whoa. Before I gotta ask, if it was a 6 out of 10, are you babysitting that throughout the show, or are you gonna just down it?
You know
mean,
what?
since downtown.
Second sip is better than the first sip because it was less sweet.
Nice.
I think maybe the first sip was just a little A little too shockingly sweet for me.
Okay, good
Okay.
deal.
I'll start bringing a taste test once a week. We'll do like a 30-second speed round. It's kind of like Dave Portnoy with the pizza, but it's like an alcoholic version.
I'll fit that segment in next week.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
I mean, on a real note, that does sound kind of awesome. And then one day in my dreams, we'll get a whiskey sponsorship and just get free whiskey sent to our houses. But yeah, in the meantime, I guess this is a sports show. Ryan and Brian Talk Alcohol is over. Let's move on to Ryan and Brian Talk Sports. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with my first prop, actually. Now, this one was shared not by me, but in our Discord earlier. A few moments after I took it by Moosey, who is one of Quan's research guys. It is Nikola Jokic over
Jokic.
22.
We're not doing this shit.
Yeah, we're doing this shit. It's over 22.5 points on DraftKings Sportsbook at -115 the last I checked. I'm going to go ahead and confirm that line still exists. I believe it does. It did move to 125. I'm still cool with that. That's about the max that I would play it at. I'm also going to check FanDuel, but while I'm checking FanDuel, I kind of like superstars to go under 2 times in a row. Just naturally, I gravitate towards that. I really like buying low on dudes that are, generally consistent. And obviously 2-time MVP is pretty damn consistent. So under in 2 straight, he's only gone under 3 straight 2 different times this season. He's getting a 22.5 line. He averages 24.5 for the season at home. He gets a very, very tiny bump to 24.7 in home games. And I mean, the main thing that I really was attracted to was the Jakob Poeltl matchup. I think that.
God damn, dude.
Jakob,
he means Jakob Poeltl if you are watching and you don't know how Ryan pronounces his soft J's.
I talk like an ignorant American. Sorry about that. But while I'm staring at this, Jokic, another one, is 23.5 and kind of juiced at -118 on FanDuel. So I do kind of get a little bit of comfort by getting that 1 point differential between books. If it was the other way around, I wouldn't really care. If DraftKings had it 1 point higher and FanDuel had it 1 point lower, I wouldn't be as encouraged. But I think FanDuel is sharper than DraftKings by a little bit, and player props, especially NBA. So I actually like that. That makes me pretty comfortable, even though it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, like I said, against Jakob Poeltl, I'm pretty excited about this one. Centers that are actually real players have done pretty damn well against Toronto since he arrived. In his first game was against Utah, and Walker Kessler dropped 23. The following game was Jalen Duren. He had 6. He's working on his offense game. We'll give him.
Is he not a real center? He's a real center, man.
No. I actually like his potential, but there is really not much offensive talent to speak of. So we'll give him a pass on that 6-point game. That's okay. Wendell Carter Jr. had 26. Jonas Valanciunas, which I embarrassed myself by betting on him last Monday. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, honestly, I thought about that. I forgot you played his over, and I was watching the game, just hating on him, and I was like, man, poor Rock.
It was miserable. It was every bit as miserable as I anticipated. Like yesterday, I bet on Kelly Olynyk, and I was like, this is going to be miserable. And it was every bit as miserable as I anticipated, but he hit. Whereas Jonas was every bit as miserable, but then it was miserable because it still lost. But anyway, Wiseman had 10, Jared Allen had 23, Vuce had 23, Gafford had 18. Then they back-to-back, Gafford had 9. So, centers with offensive talent to any degree have been quite effective here. And obviously Jokic's usage is, through the roof. What he does with that usage can kind of vary, of course, because he does average over 10 assists a game. But this feels like a spot to kind of attack a little bit. Not saying he won't, get his 10 assists, and he can be kind of frustrating to watch because like he'll be at the rim and he'll still pass out, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing when you bet on his points at least? Yeah. But it's Jokic. He knows what he's doing, so we should just
there's nothing worse in this league than betting on a center's over, and they'll get like an offensive rebound and they'll kick it out for the open 3, which is like the smart play in that situation. And you're like, you dumb bitch! Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you playing smart basketball right now? Get out of don't do that. Yeah, so I do agree with that. That's the only thing with Jokic is that he can score 30 at any given point, but he can also take 3 field goal attempts. So you just got to hope he's feeling good for it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think at home in this game, considering he's gone pretty low scoring several times in a row. I'm pretty encouraged that he will be a bit more aggressive. Take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, but I did think it was worth mentioning. So the last 10 times that Jokic has faced Jakob, of course, these are all San Antonio days. Every single one of these was in Jacob was in San Antonio, but Jokic scored 26, 21, 41, 35, 22, 32, 26, 25, 35, 25. Long story short, that's 8 out of 10. I mean, pretty much he slaughtered them quite often. And I don't really see that changing tonight. I think he has a really nice matchup and just a number I can't quite remember him at a 22.5 number this year. I don't believe I've seen that. He may have, it may have existed at one point. I kind of missed it, but this is a number where I would probably just consider Jokic no matter the matchup, and then get really excited to bet it when he has a good matchup. So that's kind of where I find myself today. So 22.5, immediately was a really intriguing number, but against Jakob Poeltl, becomes even better in my eyes.
That was a painful listen, but I do agree with that.
I made it as bad as I could.
Yeah, and the way I want to do this is that I didn't bet anything in this game yet, but I will mention one of the spots I'm looking at while we're still at this game. So this is not a bet I've taken, but I think it's very interesting to look out for Michael Porter Jr. News because I'm actually very happy. I was gonna fade Aaron Gordon in this matchup for his points because I like Jokic's points and I like Michael Porter Jr.'s points in this matchup. But I'm really glad that I didn't do it because if Michael Porter Jr. sits, Aaron Gordon turns into prime Michael Jordan. I mean, I'm talking like 20 points a game. His last 10 games without MPJ, he's literally averaging 20 points a game. And he just turns into probably the best player in the league. So if MPJ does play, I'm likely going to fade Gordon. And I'm hoping that it's one of those situations where his line was 14.5 and now it's at like 15.5 with juice to the over. So I'm hoping it's one of those things where I'm hoping if Porter does play, then I could still get that 15.5 and get a better line. But if he doesn't, I would love for Jamal Murray to bump up to like a 23.5 line because weirdly enough, with Michael Porter Jr. on the court, Jamal Murray averages more points per 36 minutes. So he actually sees a decrease in points when Michael Porter Jr. is not in there. The only issue with the Raptors is that they allow anybody to get hot from three. I mean, they let Ben Simmons hit 3 threes probably if they give him enough attempts. That's how bad they are at guarding that 3-point line. But despite his volume, I just think if he does get to a point where it's 22 or 23.5, he only averages 19.5 points. 19.5 points in 14 games without Michael Porter Jr. So if it does get really inflated, I will take the under and just hope for he only makes 3 or 4 threes and that the pace of the game, kills some of his chances, plus the fact that Jokic could drop 30. So I do think that's a good spot if we see Michael Porter Jr. sit.
Yeah. We just got breaking news that Donovan Mitchell's still questionable. So
yeah, I don't think he plays. I don't think there's a reason for him to play with how he's been kind of up and down in his injuries. The fact that Boston's sitting everybody, I wouldn't be surprised if Donovan Mitchell sits.
It does feel like a lean that he's going to be out, which
you can get plus money.
Scenario.
You can get plus money on Darius Garland's assist. I didn't take it, but I know Joe Delara did. So if you think he's sitting, I think 8 assists for Garland plus money isn't a bad look.
Yeah, I honestly, I've heavily looked at Jared Allen's points and Mobley's points. I think biggest
game.
What's that?
I think it's a Mobley game. Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah.
My biggest thing
they take turns.
I couldn't decide which one, and that's kind of why I sit here without a play in this game. Is
they take turns.
Yeah, they definitely do. Allen is my 51% lean over Mobley, but I actually played Mobley against Boston last time and it missed. And that was with Robert Williams and Horford playing. And then we're getting one less point on his prop line in this game than we did in that one, with basically no interior defense. So I don't know. The very, very interesting spots. I will likely decide on that at some point before that game begins. So in between now and 7, I will probably make my decision. But we'll get to that a little.
Killian Hayes is ruled out, so
that's a shame.
I've been betting his under so much recently that he doesn't do anything. And I don't know if you saw, but that guy bets on Twitter I was talking to him. He took his first quarter under, and he took like 4 shots, and he went over 3.5 in the first quarter. And I was so mad at myself for taking that over his under 11.5. And he ended up scoring 5 points the entire game, like 4 in the first, and then he ended at 5. And I was watching the game in just pure spite that I switched up my MO when I went with the first quarter under over the game under.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
pain.
I was
I
very
will say,
disappointed in myself.
yeah, I will say with that news that Killian's out. This is quite similar to last Monday, I believe. And it was Detroit versus Charlotte, and I kept mentioning Alec Burks, and we hadn't gotten Burks props yet. This is a Alec Burks masterclass spot in my opinion. I think that Thibault will take on Ivy as the lead guard,
Yeah.
and I would assume that Burks will start at the 2, but I don't know that to be a fact. So don't quote me on that. But with Killian out, I don't really know who else would start at the 2 for them. So if he starts, I will definitely be looking at that spot and potentially laddering. Actually, Underdog has Corey Joseph as the starting point guard at Ivy at the 2. If that comes true, I'll tip my cap. And I was wrong, but I feel like Burks will start at the 2, but
Yeah.
it's hard to say. Anyway, around it is I think Thibault will take on Ivy, and then I really like the spot for Burks. So I guess if anything, stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
we'll circle back around.
Finally, you mentioned that. That's one of the spots too. I was looking at is with Hayes out. I would love, even though Hayes doesn't do anything, I would love Ivy to like get up to like 17 or 18 and a half points. I would take his under
17 and a half right now. Staring at it right now in FanDuel.
He's got to draw Thibault, and honestly, he's the only person on the Pistons that if they're getting blown out, they're gonna play everybody. But Ivy's just the only guy that actually matters for that team. That if anybody's out there like down 15, 20, I would imagine he's the one guy they wouldn't want the extra miles on if they don't have to in a tank formation, because he's just one of the actual. There's like 3 valuable players for that team, and like he's one of them. So like I feel like they'd be a little bit more cautious with him. So I will probably look at an Ivy fade.
Yeah, just to give a little bit more, I guess, reason as to why we're talking about this. Bogdanovich is out, Duren is out, Stewart is out, Hayes is out, Wiseman is questionable, Magruder is out, and of course Cade is out, I believe, for the whole season. So they should be quite shorthanded. And these tankathon teams are can be quite dangerous, but they could also be really valuable from this point on. So I actually won't hesitate to bet a team that is trying to get the number 1 pick. I've seen people say I need to stop fucking with these tanking teams. I fully get that. But I've always had a lot of success, more specifically with ladders in spots like this with guys that are just like, who the fuck is this guy? But I heard of this guy 3 weeks ago, but I see these has some potential tonight. So then you ladder him up as well. So I don't really have any problem betting on tanking teams. So we'll see. It just depends on who starts.
I agree. And I will say, I think it's, as you mentioned, I mean, these tanking teams play guys, they only have 8 guys active. You just have to make sure that you get the right guy that's going to be running out there for 40 minutes. So
yeah, for sure.
So
you said they won't list them though. That is not impossible. Obviously, Bagley's really interesting in this spot too, especially if Wiseman sits, Bagley becomes super interesting. So I don't know, just waiting on Detroit lines. God knows we'll see him. But
so Underdog just updated that Miles Turner is a game time decision. So I'm going to move into what I was saying. If he sits,
boom.
Holy shit, Joel Embiid, I would hope you score 70 points. I don't know if there's no Turner out there. But the only play I actually have in for this game is one I've been playing a lot. I've been really liking the idea of taking Joel Embiid 30 plus points paired with Harden 8 plus assists. Yep. I mean, James Harden averages just under 5 assists a game to Joel Embiid. Their pick and roll is very good, and I think it's 4.6. So, if you think Joel Embiid's scoring, it actually is a very correlated parlay where, I mean, as good as he is with the ball in hand and ball, like dominant, he's still a big man down low, and that pick and roll is so big for him. Plus, this sounds a little weird, but sometimes you see dynamic duos like Harden and Embiid get the benefit of the doubt when you're talking about what is and isn't an assist, because it's more fancy if you give Harden an assist on some of these questionable ones. But so Embiid has scored 30 points. I mean, he's been a little bit less of that as of late, but I think 30 points is so funny. If you look at his game logs, there's so many games he gets that 30 plus mark without hitting his actual line. Like last game, he scored 31. He scored 30 with 3 seconds left because he was calling for it on the inbound. Not saying it's a stat padding thing, but just naturally as a player, if you were at 29 points, I mean, that 30 plus just feels like a mountain for a player to say how many 30 plus games did you have in that season compared to like just averages. So I
Yeah.
think that's one of those things where he just like in his mind, that alone, he's a dominant player either way. But so I do like that 30 plus. He hit it last game despite really when he's on the road, his free throws are a little bit different. But this is a game where they might send doubles at him, especially if Miles Turner's out, where you might see him get to the line a lot, but also you might just see this pick and roll where he just gets the lobs over the rims against the Pacers. And Harden has 8 assists in 83% of his games. And I actually took the time to write out a write up on the whiteboard. So
over 0.5 whiteboards cashes. Yes.
So
it's been
if
a
yours-
long time, dude. The unders
yeah,
been
I know.
laughing lately.
If you
Sorry, I
have,
got
if you
loud.
want, if you want to take a screenshot of the write up so you can read it later, but this is what I got. I don't know if is it reversed?
No, we can read it.
Oh, okay, so
It's a little underwhelming, honestly. We all just took kind of a sigh of.
So
Oh,
my
here we go.
write up for this prop is Embiid equals good and Harden equals pass ball. So in this game, you're gonna see a lot of Harden passing it to Embiid. Embiid's good enough to score, and it's minus 120 on DraftKings. And as much as it can seem gross to bet a minus 110, minus 120 parlay like this, I mean, Embiid's over in points was 32.5 at minus 120 when I took this. So you get the same odds, it's just as points, but you get 2 points lower.
Yeah. I actually wouldn't mind if you brought that back and kind of went a little deeper in on that. I got lost, but no, I'm with you. In fact, I'm like very, very, very with you on this one.
Yeah.
I took Embiid points over, but I'll just to kind of add a little spice to this as you sit there in your Philly gear, and I would be sitting here in my Philly gear if it wasn't for the Gold Boys stuff. But yeah, I took Embiid over as well, but I took Embiid solo. But if you had any more talking points.
No, I don't. Honestly, I just wanted to use it as a joke because if you followed me on this show or on Twitter, I mean, this is just one of those things where this 30-10 look, I've been tracking. I think I'm like 8-2 on it over the year, or 9-2. It's 9-2 after last game. So I pick my spots a little bit, but at the same time, it's just one of those ones where as long as they're not nuked the odds to oblivion, like some games it used to be like 140, minus 140, minus 150. So if it's like playable odds, I just think it's such a good duo, especially in a matchup like this. It's a pace-up spot. It's the Pacers, funnily enough, but the other thing is that the Sixers aren't good enough as a team to ever blow anybody out. So I'm not really worried about that. Where we seem to always be down like 13 to these kinds of teams, because knowing us, it's going to be Halliburton sits, Miles Turner sits, and the Sixers are down like 12.5, and no one knows what's going on.
Yeah, fair enough. I could see that. I'm just going to add a couple talking points onto Embiid that I have written down. In the meantime, if you're in the chat, more than welcome to ask some questions and get our opinions on some guys, or just kind of shoot the shit if you wanted to. But as far as Embiid, naturally a 32.5 is a pretty intimidating number. Now it's 118 on FanDuel. I'm still taking it there. But it's obviously warranted. He's averaging 33 exactly on the year. In March, in 2 games, he's averaging 33 exactly. He's the highest usage player in the NBA, and he gets a golden matchup. I think this matchup has 40-point potential for sure. Pacers are allowing 51 points in the paint. That number's gone up ever so slightly. We just got Halliburton will play news,
which is nice.
That's good. Yeah, we like that. Naismith is ruled out. That's fine. Sorry, I keep.
No, you're good.
All these updates at the same time. Okay, so Pacers allow 51 points in the paint. That's risen slightly to 53.6 over the last 10 games. They have the 8th worst defensive rating in this season. That's the 3rd worst over the last 10 games. And then I always love Twitter comments about Embiid posts where you see him free throw merchant. I think that's hysterical. That's one of my favorite I guess, disses for Embiid. But free throw merchant Embiid is going against the team that allows the 5th most free throws. So, give me that all day. More specifically to centers, they allow the 4th most points to centers. He actually did play them early in the season. He scored 26. This was in 28 minutes. He only took 13 shots. If you know Embiid, he kind of struggles a little bit more in the early parts of the year. So obviously he didn't really struggle much. This is like the 4th or 5th game of the season. It was very efficient, but he had kind of low minutes, and he didn't play as much, nor did he shoot as much as I'm anticipating. He only got 28 minutes this game. If you're a little worried about blowout, I don't think that's impossible, of course, but it's the NBA. But I'm really glad Halliburton's in. Very, very glad. And Indiana sits at the 11 seed right now. So this is huge. They don't really get a chance the rest of the season to kind of take a night off like every team in the league likes to do. This is go time for a lot of teams, especially when they're sitting in that 11, 12, 13 spot. So I think we see a pretty competitive game. -7 is the spread, I believe, which is doable. And last year he played them 2 times. He averaged 43 against them. So this one checks every box. I don't know. Honestly, sometimes when every box is checked, it's not always a good thing sometimes for whatever reason, but I don't know. It's still too good of a spot to ignore. And definitely was a pretty much a no-brainer for me to play. It was -110 at the time. It's -118. I'm still grabbing it there.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with you that it's just one of those spots where honestly I'd almost rather lose 1.2 units than to be watching my TV and seeing this duo or this MVP candidate like drop 40 and just have no stock on it, because it's just such a good matchup.
Yeah.
And he's played more minutes recently, Embiid. I mean, I'm actually surprised
37
that he's getting some long rounds, which is good to see, because one of his big things his whole career has been like questions about his fitness and this and that. But he's looking good down the stretch. He's playing winning basketball down the stretch. I think it's very comforting to see him come on and do what he's been doing.
Yeah, for sure. You got a couple questions. You already answered Dame. I like 3s for Dame more than points, and you kind of hinted on that in the chat. Somebody mentioned Ingram points. Love it. I believe Nick Larson posted that on Twitter. I know he posted in the Discord.
Laddered it.
He laddered it. I believe up to 35. This feels like a golden spot. Hero assist. I actually kind of have no opinion on that one. Do you have any input?
I hate Tyler Hero with a passion, so I do like his assists more than his points. His points are 20.5, and if it was anybody else but the Hawks, I probably would look to fade Hero again. I've been having success fading him, but he just really likes to beat up on bad teams, bad defensive teams. He only scored 20 against the Hawks last game, so it is definitely tempting. But yeah, in this kind of a faster pace game, I think the assist could be a good look, only because the Heat just play so slow that any other team that plays a little bit faster of a pace, you have a little bit of hope that maybe you can get some extra stats in there.
Yeah. Then you mentioned CJ points or assist. I like it's kind of funky. I did mention I like Ingram points. I actually sneakily like Ingram assist in this one. Sacramento's given up like 30 assists a game. And Ingram actually, since the All-Star break, he's the leader in potential assists on New Orleans. By not by a massive margin or anything. He's like 12.5. CJ's like 11.5. But his teammates are only converting like 4 of them. So like his assist numbers don't really look good.
Yeah.
But he's getting the volume for sure. And this is the kind of matchup where things can kind of even out. Getting plus money for 6, I think, is pretty good, despite looking at his like game log and seeing like he hasn't really been hitting that much. I'm not too concerned. I think it's more important obviously it's more important to focus on today, the matchup, stuff like that. But than the game log. But I actually really like his assist, especially more than CJ's assist, because CJ's like -140 for 6. Ingram's plus odds for 6 and gets more potential assists. And then CJ points, I like that a lot. I have one more play to run through. Obviously, there's a bit of a theme. I didn't really mean for this, but so far I have Joel and Jokic. So center, and then my third play is a center. So
is
I'm
it Bam? Is it fucking Bam?
It's not Bam. I played
Okay.
Bam last game. I don't know why I'm not playing him this game.
I like Bam today, but then I
I-
realized that Bam also is the worst. So
Yeah, I happily played him last game, and it was a really easy sweat-free cash. And for some reason today, I can't commit. I don't know why. Do not ask me why. I can't articulate it. However, I did commit to Domantas Sabonis over 20.5 points. That was minus 115 on DraftKings. I like Sabonis. I actually bet his points and his PA all the time. I mean, he has been phenomenal to me. Now, like if you look at his like season long numbers, this number's kind of high. He averages 18.9 on the season. So a 20 and a half number could be, I guess a little bit intimidating for him. But in like the 6 or 7 games in October, he averaged less than 14 points. In November, he averaged 18.0 points. So it took him a little while to get going, but like since the end of November till now, he's really started to take off. And he's been slowly raising his points per game up. He's in a nice stretch right now. He's averaging 20.7 over the last 10. He's hit this in 6 out of 10 games and 3 straight. And then he gets a really nice matchup here. I don't really care whether Valanciunas is in. If Valanciunas is in, great. He should absolutely rip him to shreds. If Valanciunas is out, then he gets Hernangomez and Hayes, who I think he rips to shreds. And if they bother to try to go small against him, I think he rips them to shreds. I really just, no matter who they kind of throw at him, I don't think they'll stop his efficiency. He's kind of Jokic-esque. He's not going to go out there and take 22 shots, but he could get this pretty easily in 14 shots because shooting 60% is not a foreign thing for him at all. So I love this matchup. Pels really haven't been facing good centers at all recently. And they're still over the last 30 days averaging the second most points to centers. It is worth mentioning there was a 12-point effort versus this New Orleans team from Sabonis. He played 27 minutes and they got absolutely cooked by the Pelicans early February. That was at New Orleans. This is in Sacramento. Again, I don't really try to predict blowouts. I don't really let a blowout potential sway me one way or another. But
go Kings though.
What's that?
Go Kings though. I'm a big Kings fan now.
Is that right?
I have the Kings win the division, so go Kings.
Oh, there you go. There you go. But yeah, I think this one stays pretty close. I think he'll definitely get closer to the 35, 36 minutes that he normally gets rather than the 27 that he got in that one. So I like the spot. So 3 centers for me. Jokic, Embiid, Sabonis, all overs. That's my 3 for today. We got a couple questions if you want to kind of hop in.
Someone asked about Jokic points or assists for Van Fleet. If you missed the earlier part of the show, Ryan is on Jokic's over 22.5 points, so I would fade that and go with the assist for. No, I'm in agreement with Ryan that I do think Jokic is a good spot to score. The other question was Van Fleet points or Jamal Murray points. I'm not really sold on Jamal Murray, especially I mentioned earlier that his points per 36 definitely drops down, and he actually has worse scoring performances when Michael Porter Jr. is sitting. So that's another one where if you're going to make a play in that game, it sucks. You might get a worse line, but I would wait for the injury news because Michael Porter Jr. is such a big part of that offense where it kind of does change a lot of how I view that game. So that's one of the ones I would think about there. Someone mentioned fading Fred VanVleet today. I mean, he's another guy that can take 3 shots and call it a day and just kind of run around for a little bit. But yeah, that should be a good game. I actually think the pace of that game might be a little slower with the Raptors trying to play more half court defense. Also, I do think OG Anunoby and Scottie Barnes is such a tough matchup for a guy like Jamal Murray. As long as they can close out from 3, that's my thing with the Raptors. Is a guy like Murray could easily hit a lot of threes if they're not careful with them. If they let him just pull from open shots from that corner 3 or that elbow 3, it's just one of those things where as long as they're putting a hand in his face, I think it's a tough matchup for him to drive and to hit those threes. But the Raptors sometimes sag off in that drop defense, and it pisses me off watching guys rain like 33s against them.
Nice. Like it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about CJ assists. I actually like Ingram assists personally more than CJ assists due to juice/opportunity. I wouldn't mind a little ladder on Ingram assists. Now I haven't committed to this myself. I would personally stick with the 5.5, but I don't think 8 is out of the question with the volume he's been getting in the the volume he's been getting of potential assists. I really don't love CJ assists that much here, other than the fact it's it's a nice matchup, but he only averages like 11 potential assists a game since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
So he's not really killing it or anything.
Yeah. I also my advice for a slate like this: if you don't like something, just find a player you hate and just take their under, and then just root for their downfall. That's one of the most fun things. Like some people, I think unders are overrated or underrated. Where that's where
No,
I'm
they're
trying to
overrated.
look.
You had it right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know, man. I had the best cash my entire life yesterday. It was only a 1 unit play,
Really?
but it was a 1 unit. Did you see Kristaps Porzingis yesterday, dude?
No, not at all. I was on the road a
Oh,
lot yesterday.
Ryan, I
Unfortunately.
took Porzingis under 24.5 against the Bucks, and he set a career high 29 field goal attempts. And I won. I had
Holy fuck.
I had under 24.5. He took 30 shots just about. And I gave up. I didn't watch it for a while. He started the game 8 for 10 shooting and 18 points in the first quarter. And then he stayed under 24.5. He shot 8 for 10 in the first quarter, 18 points. I gave up on it. And then my friends were kind of texting me in the third quarter, and they were like, "Yo, you watching this?" And I was like, kind of, but like we're cooked anyway. It doesn't really
We're
matter.
cooked.
And then so he proceeded to score 18, 0 in the second, 6 in the third, 0 in the fourth. Like he legit, like it
Yeah.
was like the craziest win I've ever had.
29 shots.
Dude,
Holy fuck, man. That's
He
wild.
he legit just kept chucking. He started off 8 for 10, and then the rest of the game he shot 3 for 19. And I was biased with his under, but I was like, dude, why are you pulling the like they almost lost, like they did lose, but they had a lead, and then he checked in and missed like 5 straight field goals. And I was like, dude, Tingus, I'm sorry, you're killing your team right now. You started off super hot, but you're just he shot like 1 for 8 from 3. It was probably like the sweatiest under I've ever had in my entire life because he set, I mean, like I said, career high in field goal attempts against the Bucks for some reason. I don't know why he figured Giannis and Lopez was the matchup to take 30 shots on, but it didn't work out for him. It was kind of fun to watch. I don't know
Yeah,
how.
that's fucking insane. I actually missed that. I don't know what it is about Washington. So like I'm sure in like the back of everybody's head they have that team where like they don't really like betting on them. They don't really enjoy watching them.
Clippers.
For a very long time, back when I was a kid, Washington, other than like national TV games, the Wizards are the only team I could watch because I live in Virginia. So
I like Beal. That's about it.
I hate Washington games. I hate the way they play. I hate trying to guess which of those three is going to go off or suck. Of course, one of them's always injured, so that kind of helps. But yeah, just interesting stuff. To shoot 29 shots and go unders. That's one for the books, man. You got to write that in your journal.
It was so funny because I posted something after the third quarter saying Tingus has 26 field goal attempts and he's still under right now. And I was like, this is going to be the most painful loss of all time, but I'm on the right side. And someone commented, was like, sometimes you can't help it when a guy's just cooking. He's been cooking recently. And I was like, he is shooting 32%, man. I was like, I don't care how many points you score. You're not cooking if you're taking 30 shots to get the 25 points. Like,
that's awesome.
Oh my goodness. And it was the best part was I took under 34.5 at plus 105 after the first quarter. Like I like rage bet under 34.5 and it was plus odds, which is so funny that he went so far under. I know someone had to have had their over out there. Probably went to a steak dinner after the first quarter, told his wife to order whatever she wants. His big play hit. And then in the third quarter, he definitely got a text and was like, oh shit, we didn't like the food. Return everything. We didn't return everything.
That's right.
Yeah. We talked about FanDuel being sharper than DraftKings. My friend Ryan brought that up. FanDuel had his line set at 23.5, so those bettors would have won with that 24 points by Tingus. So
nice.
It's definitely something to keep in mind. So make sure you shop your lines.
What book did you get?
I took a Bet Rivers, but so I mean it was 24.5 on like Caesars, MGM, DraftKings. Like every book had it, but FanDuel.
Somebody's mentioned that they don't like watching the Pacers. That's an interesting one to me. Do you have that team like that just that you hold so undearly in your heart that you hate betting them, you hate watching them? You want almost nothing to do with them because that's the Wizards for me. That's the Pacers for my man, BDK Bookie.
It has to be the Clippers for me. I can't bet on them, but in terms of watching, the only team I can't physically watch because it hurts my brain is I can't watch the Charlotte Hornets when Kelly Oubre is active.
I feel that, dude.
That's mine. Just because he takes the worst shots of all time, and he just there's just no discipline on that team that says, "Hey, Kelly, don't like like there's just no Bam's points has to be the most stressful things to bet on. That's true. Bam's rebounds too.
Bam's matchups don't matter. Like I said, I mean, I bet him over the weekend. It went well, but like his matchups, they don't mean shit. Like he'll go against Charlotte, and you'll be like, all right, here's this 30 and like 12 masterclass from Bam. He scores 14 and gets 3 rebounds. Like what the fuck? Bam is one of the hardest players to understand because he's obviously so talented. He's now a 2-time All-Star, I believe. Obviously the talent's there, but man, the inconsistency, especially in good matchups, is so funky. But he has had good success versus Capelli's. This matchup's been good to him, so I definitely don't mind people betting his over here. I support you, but I'm gonna stay away.
The last point I'll bring up is another spot I'm looking at. I mentioned Trey's under. I mentioned Gordon's under if MPJ is in, or maybe a fade of Murray. Another interesting spot is Keegan Murray. If Fox doesn't play, I kind of want to fade him in terms of his points per like 36 or points per whatever doesn't really change with Fox in or out. And in the 5 games without Fox, he scored 7, 18, 18, 2, 3, and 13. The 2 was against the Pelicans. So the length of the Pelicans, especially with BI back, can be an issue for him. So one of the things I'll say is if this line gets egregious, if Fox is out, like so he's 11.5 now, I wouldn't do it there. But like if Fox get ruled out and he sees this crazy line shift, like to like 13, 14, whatever you want to call it, I would look at that as well. But yeah, like the thing with that team is that it's you almost get the benefit of the doubt sometimes if you bet, say, it under on Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, or Keegan Murray, because that team has so many of those wing players that they have on the roster where if one of them struggles to start the game, they're not hesitant to say, all right, you're not playing the second half, or we're going to put Monk in, because Keegan Murray yesterday scored 0 points his last game, only played 20 minutes. They were so fast to say, Kevin Huerter's cooking right now. Sorry, you're out.
You're hit, pal.
Yeah, so he can play 8 minutes, or he can play like 19. So it's frustrating when you have his over, but sometimes you get bailed out if they start off slow.
Yeah.
Someone says it's either Huerter or Keegan. That shit pisses him off, and that's true. That's what I mean. It's sometimes you get burned, but like if you almost get hope if you say take a Keegan Murray under and he starts off like 1 for 6, you have hope in the back of your head, like, all right, let's hope for some Malik Monk takeover, and hopefully he gets hot. You saw it yesterday with the Suns. Torrey Craig started off 0 for 18 Josh Okogie started off 0 for 18 from 3, and then Ish Wainwright came in, hit 3 threes in the first 2 minutes.
Cooking.
And then Okogie did not see the court. He did not come back in. So sometimes with these guys that don't necessarily have established roles, you can hope that their understudy gets hot and they just ride the minutes.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. We do have an MLB segment. We're probably tentatively going to leave it there up until MLB begins, just in case anything pops up. Considering time restraints, we'll probably keep it pretty short. But do you have any thoughts or anything about the shift or the time clock and how it'll affect anything this season, or will it change?
Honestly, I think we covered it a little bit last week. I honestly, this sucks to say, but I might even take a week of the MLB to not even bet it to start. And I hate the idea of that, but
such a DGen, there's like 0% chance I could ever
like, I know, I agree with you. I probably won't either, but at the same time, I just like, if I see a strikeout line, I don't even know what to think about it, because I don't know how it's going to look in terms of will it help certain pitchers, hurt pitchers. I mean, how are they going to score certain things? It's very crazy to think about.
Yeah, for sure. No, random. Back to NBA real quick. There's a FanDuel boost of Trae Young and Jimmy Butler to combine for 55 fucking points. Now it's plus 300. You know, obviously.
I'm convinced Trey scores 6 again. I'm telling you, it's like
that's an odd boost to see. I did not
I'm telling you,
anticipate that one.
Trey's definitely not getting 24 points. I want to fade it so bad, but I have this thing where if I fade Trey Young, there's like a fucking cult of Trey Young fans on Twitter that will find it and they will roast me if he goes over. Like that's my
The
thing.
cult. Dude,
Like,
they
they're-
combined for what, 24 points last game? That's an odd boost. Now again, it's plus 300. So if you want to take that, you know, be my guest.
Back to baseball. This is my
Baseball.
favorite. This is my favorite comment we've ever gotten in the entire chat. Was someone mentioned that if you leave for Chicks and Pete's, you'll miss the first 3 innings. It's true. That Chicks and Pete line is ridiculous. If you go to Citizens Bank Ballpark, if you go to see a Phillies game and you get Chickens and Pete's, I do not respect you. That sounds bad, but you're gonna be there for like 6 innings now. It used to be 3. Like
3 was
I
the
don't-
good old days, dude.
Like I don't understand how people sit there and wait in that long ass line and they miss
went
2
during.
innings.
What is it, like crab fries? I
It's
forget.
crab fries. No, they're really good. I like Chicks and
They
Pete's.
are.
Oh,
but
they're good.
But if you go to the Phillies game, the line is like out the door and it's
Look,
like wraps around and it's like all these people that are like, oh, Philly's so cool. Sure, whatever. Get your crab fries. I'm gonna watch the game.
Look, I
Like,
can go to an
it's-
O's game. I can go to an Orioles game and get like the same shit, and I don't have to wait in the long ass line.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Like,
like chicken
everything-
pizza's kind of overrated.
It's the same thing with like Tony Luke's. Tony Luke's. Love Tony Luke's. Not worth waiting in the line at a Phillies game. It's not. They're crazy line, like long lines. So I just don't respect you.
I got Chicky and Pete's last time I went to a game, but it's
Oh,
only
see?
because there was a rain delay.
Oh, okay, that's fair. No, that's good. Like
got
last time,
chicken.
I went with my family. My sister was like, "I want to get Chickens and Pete's." I'm like, "If you wait in the line, I'll give you like $30. You can get me crab fries, but I'm just not gonna wait for you. I'm not gonna wait in that line." So, yeah, it's true. I like that comment. Also, Ryan, the only thing I want to bring up MLB is the fact that Andrew Painter might be dead, and it makes me very sad. I mean, have you seen all
What?
this stuff, the news with his elbow tender?
God, no,
His-
actually.
The
I
Phillies
missed
were
it.
supposed to give a update about it this morning. They didn't. They said that they'll give an update about it later. He's dealing with like elbow tenderness, I think. And it's been like 5 days since. Have you seen none of this? It's crazy.
So this is funny that I typed it in on Twitter and it became a meme popped up and it said the Phillies when asked about Painter, and the meme says, "Do you want to know the terrifying truth, or do you want to see me sock a few dingers?"
I'm telling you, Andrew Painter. I'm
Dude,
really
that's not good.
I
I mean, a guy that throws like that is, you know, Tommy John, and his velocity are, you know, they're one
Yeah.
and one, dude. They're, you know, there's never a doubt. I guess just go get it done now while you're 19 or 20.
Yeah, it's very
Oh,
just sad
man.
because if it was good news, I feel like they would have updated it on Friday when it came out. Yeah, I
So,
feel like
they say he's getting an MRI. I missed this somehow. I don't know.
yeah,
what we're dealing with here.
they've just been saying we'll provide an update when one becomes available, and it's been
No.
like 3 or 4 days, which is
Fuck.
yeah. So it's very sad if you're a Phillies fan. Painter
Man.
might be dead. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's like a April Fool's joke early.
There you go. We could bank on that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all I had to say for MLB.
Oh
This
yeah,
has
I'm
been-
good.
This has been Ryan and Brian Fred over the Phillies.
Yeah.
Already, we got 162 games to go. We're already panicking a little bit.
Yeah, it's already
That's
over.
all
But it's all right. That's my only MLB comment.
I
Yeah,
find
okay.
MLB to be a lot more, enjoyable to talk about when your team is just projected for last place, and you can just pay attention to the league.
There
Yeah.
you go. Look at you, man. What a
That's-
goal to have.
Yeah, that's a good goal to have.
But hey, Riley Green hit a home run today.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Cra-
Perfect segue into the pick it popular plays.
yeah. Is Riley Green on there?
Riley Green is not on there.
All right, you can handle the pick up popular plays. I've been carrying a lot of the show, so
All right, I'm silent the rest of the way. It's all you, bro.
I don't even have my phone on me.
I'm
so
just kidding. So go ahead, guess, man. Give me a fucking guess. Who's the number one? Give me something. We're not
on the
you
pick
know,
up popular plays, I'm gonna hope it's
Oh,
not
nice.
Joel
Wow.
Embiid, but I'm
Not
gonna
Joel.
go
It's
with.
not Joel.
Is it
Joel is-
Jokic? Is it Jokic most popular?
He's top 3. He's not one. Give me
Who
one.
else
You
is-
got one more guess. It's it's a star. Absolute. It's the
It's Damian Lillard.
yeah.
It's
There you go.
Damian Lillard. Yeah, Lillard.
Damian Lillard. It's his points is number one, his made threes is number two. I mean, with the stretch he's on, man, with this matchup, how the hell do you not? I feel you. I'm gonna stay away. I don't mind. It sometimes when a line's like that, it comes down to like, can I sleep at night? If he scores 50 tonight and I just fade that 37.5 line, um, I won't. I'll sleep all right tonight. But like if I played the over and he kind of limps his way through the game, which I don't anticipate. I'd be kicking myself all night. So it's just like it's one of those ones where like mental health. Let me just stay away. If he goes over, that's great. But I don't care.
Yeah, I like
you
that
have
because
anything further
almost
to add?
in this league with how much things can go bad in an instant with blowouts, injuries, anything like that, like you're talking 36, 37 and a half. If you take that under, you almost are in a position where you're just rooting for something to go bad from the first to third quarter, where some team goes on a run or something happens where maybe there's just no reason, there's no need for Dame time at the end. So it's just one of those lines where in this economy, like I don't know if I can take minus 110 for 40 points.
Yeah, I feel you there. I get that with lines like this, guys like Shea get this, obviously Embiid gets this, and I played Embiid. So like tonight, when we're 6 minutes into the game, if Embiid has 4 points, like I'm gonna be scared shitless. Like
Yeah.
everything now, I mean, obviously we're playing guys that have the ability to do this, but like everything kind of needs to go semi-perfect to get this many.
If
Points.
Embiid or Dame doesn't have 10 plus points after the first quarter, and that's like the low end, you almost start panicking. Like when you
Yeah.
need 30, 40, whatever points, is that you kind of have this talk, there's a clock in your head that like if Embiid is at 10 points, you're like, oh, he's gonna sit this much in the second, this and that, and you just kind of start getting in your own head. So it's very frustrating sometimes when you need so many points from a player.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Number two, we've talked about him. We've criticized him. The chat has criticized him. Who's number two?
Is it Bam?
It's Bam Adebayo.
Bam Adebayo. It's
Look
probably
at
a lot
you.
of probably
Look
his
at you.
probably a
His-
lot of love for his points and his anytime touchdown scorer.
yeah, anytime touchdown is by far number one. Points is far, far, far and away the number one option. If anything, I guess that's kind of why I'm walking away from this one personally.
Well, I will say, sorry to interrupt, but I will say,
no, you're good.
calling
Always
your
welcome.
shot did put Bam in his ladder, so there could be an influx of
Ah.
betters on that.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
We blame him. All right, makes
Yeah,
sense.
there you go. There we go. The
Thanks,
main
Austin, if you're watching this.
Yeah,
way to
thank you.
ruin Bam's lines. We appreciate that.
Yeah, the main thing with this kind of play, why I'm staying away, is last game, like it felt like nobody was even considering Bam. Like, he had a pretty bad stretch of games. He was off everybody's radar, and he got to a point where it was low enough as a 19.5 line for a guy that averages, almost 22. It's like, I'll go grab this line that nobody's paying attention to. Now it's at the forefront of attention of like gambling Twitter or just gamblers around the nation. I'm not like full blown fade the public on player props. I like to ride with a lot of the people, and it's fun when that shit cashes. But this is one I'll kind of stay away because it went from completely ignored in the first matchup to like nobody can miss it now that he's hit 3 straight against Atlanta.
Yeah.
I won't criticize it. It's far from a bad play. The numbers, the research, everything's there.
I think
Anything
19 and a half is like your key number there. That 20 points just makes you feel so safe and like warm. Like 20.1, like 20 and a half or 21 kind of scares you a little bit for a guy that scores a lot in twos, because I don't think Bam's pulling up from 3 too often. So
Yeah.
I think if you can get that 20 plus, it's a very good look.
Yeah, somebody asked if we like Garland over 2.5 threes. I do, with or without Donovan. I think that's a nice look. He went pretty crazy last game against the Celtics, especially late from 3. I do like that look. We do have one more player in this top 3. It is a guy whose name I mispronounce, and it's one of the 3 guys that I bet on tonight, Nikola Jokic. So as I say, one player ago, I don't really like getting into the public plays too much. Here I am with a public play. However, his assists are the at the forefront here of popular plays by a fairly slight margin, but assists do trump points, which understandable. I think Michael Porter Jr., as we said 8 times on the show, will be very, very, very key to that assist line. Those two are they're a match made in heaven for sure. Because Michael Porter Jr., he's a hell of a shooter from wide open. That man will never pass the ball. I don't think he's passed the ball all season. Is that a real fact? Is that
Michael Porter Jr. He reminds me of, like, do you remember that one mixtape someone made of Klay Thompson where he scored like 40 points on 5 dribbles, where it was just like this like crazy catch and shoot? That's kind of Michael Porter. He doesn't really like to dribble much. He likes to kind of, Kelly Oubre it a little bit, but he's like more efficient with it, which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that rounds out our top 3. Like I said, assists is in the lead there. Got anything?
No, I like Jokic. I like his points. His triple double is minus 120, so that's out. But overall, I think he's a good look for him to score. And hopefully, at this point, I'm hoping Michael Porter Jr. doesn't play, and I can hopefully get a great line to fade Jamal Murray. But that's all I have for this slate. Is we both like Embiid, and I think the rest of the slate is just, we mentioned some good points, some good stats with and without players, and I would just monitor injury news and survive, and just keep in mind that there's a good slate tomorrow. So if you want to run 1 or 2 plays, it's not the worst. I don't know, maybe go like outside, go for a walk or something. I don't know, maybe leave your house for once. That's that.
Not bad advice.
That's where my advice is, because if I bet on Embiid and he hits, and the injury news is like wonky, I might just call it a night and just go to bed. I don't know. Like it's kind of a refreshing feeling sometimes if you don't like enough, because there's a lot of spots on this slate where I like them, but I don't know if I like them enough to play it. And sometimes that's a good sign for you just to not even touch it then.
Yeah, for sure. We can go run through a recap. Go ahead and spill your 1 play. I'll go through my 3, hopefully.
I took Embiid 30 plus points and Harden 8+ assists as a same game parlay. It was minus 140 on FanDuel. It was minus 120 on DraftKings when I took it. If you can find it anything under minus 125, that's the only play I'm on right now. And then Ryan's got 3 or 4 plays, 30 plays, whatever it was, and you can get them right now.
Yeah, I went. It's a center's night for me. I got Joel Embiid over 32.5. I believe it was minus 118 on FanDuel. At the time when I was talking about it, I got Jokic over 22.5 points, and that's on DraftKings. I believe that was 125, minus 125, that is. Then I got Domantas Sabonis over 20.5 points. So I really like a lot of the matchups for the centers tonight, and hopefully we'll be capitalizing on that. So another showdown. Ryan Bryan Talk Sports, presented by Boom Fantasy and Pickett Sports. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, chatting in the chat, and just kind of shooting shit and having some fun with us. Happy Monday.